Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm ZKast from ZK Research, and I'm here at Enterprise Connect 2025 in Orlando with Joe Rittenhouse from Converged Technology Pros. Second time on ZKast, you're becoming a little regular here.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how you been, Joe?
Good. How about you?
Yeah, good. It's been any initial thoughts from the event?
AI, everything. I think, I got AI in my golf clubs. I got AI here.
That's true, you have golf clubs, yeah. Didn't help you, though.
No, it didn't. I think that's the theme here. It's like trying to figure out where does it work and how does it apply? And like everybody's got a sense of AI to like, no joke, it's in my golf clubs. Like it's obviously not helping. But I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here, but at the same time too, I think that's my feedback here is everybody's trying to talk about their version of AI. And to some degree, it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah, so if you go down to the show floor, you watch the keynotes, there's AI infused and everything. Pasquale Di Maio, the GM of Amazon, actually kind of joked about that during his keynote. And so you talk to a lot of customers, you obviously work with a lot of them. Where are their heads at with AI? Do they want it? They scared of it? They're thinking about it? I mean, you look at all the demos, the agentic agents, I don't see really any of that in customer deployments. Certainly don't experience it when I call contact center. So where are we?
Yeah, I think, last year was kind of like that explosion of like OpenAI came out and everybody was like, oh my gosh, I have to have AI.
Yeah, and we use it in our consumer lives, right? We chat GPT, everything.
Correct.
In fact, I saw somewhere that for the first time in like years, Google's search share is under 90% because so much of it's been done by ChatGPT and OpenAI, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and I think like that's kind of what we saw, and then there was just a quick adoption of just saying like, okay, maybe we should look at where do we put this in the enterprise, what do we do? I would say from our perspective though, we saw a lot of tire kickers in the last half of the year of just understanding where they're at, and where we specialize from a contact center, that buzzword you're hearing now is agentic AI and all that fun stuff. That wasn't really there a late end 2024, and here we are coming to the end of Q1 of 2025, and that's mainstream. And so I think just with the contact center platforms and the different tools that are out there, customers are now starting to understand like, okay, we have some of the panels we're talking about, we have some AI boards, we have some AI principles. They're using AI in different parts of the business, and now it's starting to become mainstream and saying like, okay, where can we focus on an agentic experience? And I think some of the businesses are just being truly forthcoming and understanding like we have to increase efficiency. To your point, we have to increase a better customer experience, and if we can, whether it's a naughty word or not, we have to reduce overhead. And then it's just at the end of the day, that's just efficiency. And so that momentum of what we're seeing is like happening right now. So I think like from a speed to development perspective, it's moving exceptionally fast. If we went from slow tire kickers to now mainstream, everybody was trying to figure out where can they put this and where in the platform does it go.
So when you're migrating a customer from one of those legacy platforms to a cloud-based platform that fuses AI, are they indeed compressing seats? And if so, by how much?
Yeah, so I think yes, they're going to, but I think on the initial sale, it's really just trying to...
It's a like for like.
It's a like for like, right? But yes, I mean, you have to have elasticity of where you're trying to go because you should be able to compress seats. And there's less conversations now. Like we were talking this time last year, we would have been talking about omni-channel and routing capabilities. No one cares about that anymore. Like that's just table stakes. So it's where can we get efficiencies to lower those seats and those bots? And things are being measured not so much in seats now, they're being measured in conversations.
Yes, and so that's an interesting...
It's a different dynamic. It's a different pricing model.
Yeah.
It's just different.
So, and that is an interesting point you brought up because all the vendors that you deal with, Zoom, Ring, all these guys, have
basically all the Gartner Magic.
Right. They've lived off that historical per seat per month pricing model. Now with AI coming, you're not really selling seats, right? And when I talk to the vendors about what their pricing model is going to be, they're a little all over the map. And so how do customers want to pay for this? Do they want something predictable? Are they okay with utilization-based pricing? Where if you're a retailer, I mean, you're going to pay more between Thanksgiving and Christmas than you are the rest of the year, right? So how do customers want to pay for this?
I think there's a seat component, so I think it's just really like what we're starting to see.
Because you do still have people, right?
Yeah. You still have people, and you're still going to have a seat component. And there's still some sort of engine on the back end that's doing processing, routing, or something along those lines. But it's more of in those interactions and those conversations. And those conversations then versus being a measurable seat price. It's as that volume goes up, you can justify the ROI better. So they're looking for an alternative way to justify ROI. And a lot of the customers that are coming to us right now are saying like, hey, we need to get there. To your point, like you don't see the customer service levels. It's coming, and it's coming really fast, as we can see here. But I think it's just the customers don't understand, like, how much can I justify to spend? What's my actual return going to be? And I think what we're starting to see right now, especially that middle enterprise, not the large enterprise, the middle enterprise, they're just starting to see some small projects without much of a budget and realize, holy cow. And so if it's measured by conversations and it's less transactional, like that seat price was, you can measure that return of investment. And that's where you're finding your budget. Like, this is finding it. So this is the first tool that we've had that's finding it.
Actually,
to identify a budget, what your cost going to be, your seat counts. Now it's just like, conceptually, just tell me what you want to achieve.
And historically, the rate of adoption of cloud UC has always tracked along PBX or around legacy replacement, right?
Yep.
Are you finding that the value prop for these new systems is so compelling that companies are actually willing to accelerate that depreciation cycle? And even though maybe they wanted to keep it a couple more years, the benefits are so great that I got to ditch my old, Avaya system or whatever and get off that.
I think that's a great question. So like within the past 3 to 6 months, that acceleration has just been ridiculous. Like, it's moving so fast. So
you were saying like pandemic level demand now, right?
Yes. And like what we're starting to see is just like pandemic level demand of like that was shooting fish in a barrel of like opportunities, and from a prospecting perspective and sales cycles and everything like that, it was just fast.
Yeah.
And everything was just happening fast because people needed to move. There's that sense of urgency now, and AI is spurring that. And so from a funnel activity, what we're seeing within the enterprise too is deals and activity are moving fast. Outside of like talks of recession and everything else that's going on there, like people are finding opportunities because they're realizing the benefits of AI in other parts of the organization, efficiency, customer experience, and quick return on investment. So, if you can add to all those elements, those projects can get accelerated. And the conversations are with different people within the organizations, where traditionally we were with IT and contact center people.
Yeah.
These AI conversations are with the business lead.
So if you think of that typical hockey stick adoption, it seems like we're coming to the end of the blade and we're about to go up the shaft, right? But we're really at that inflection point now.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Gardner's saying too, is that inflection point's like right now or we just passed it.
Yeah. What I find interesting too, even about your business, when we've known each other 5 years-ish. Yeah. And when I first met you, I would say that you were more a UC guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And now all I talk to you about is contact center. And it's like, even here at the show, every vendor that I would have thought it was a UC vendor is our contact center vendor. Yeah. And so that raises the question, like, is UC dying? Is it just commoditized? Is it a feature? Is it a feature of contact center now? Is it,
it's a commodity.
Yeah.
I think teams really kind of changed that during the pandemic, because it's
even the product's crappy.
Yeah. Voice is voice, like a lesser quality voice versus a high quality voice, depending on the industry. Sometimes that's more important than others, but it's really just efficiency, customer experience, and it's more contact center. Everything's contact center driven. And I would expect that this time next year, when we're meeting at the next Enterprise Connect, it's going to be less contact center than it is today, what we're seeing here at the show. Oh. It's that front end agent experience of like, how much of that can you process through a bot that you don't need some of that routing. And some of that complexity that we're seeing with the customers that are coming to us now, like these monolithic contact centers are just complex. Like you don't need all that complexity.
Yeah.
It become more simple.
So it's a question, is it less contact center, or is it just different contact center?
Both.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of cloud to cloud migrations too. So what used to be like legacy to cloud, now customers are starting to look at like, okay, what's best in breed and how do I apply these? And those are the conversations you and I have had. Is like, does it matter if these vendors own the AI?
Yeah.
I'm not sure it does.
Yeah. Now you sat in the Zoom keynote today, right?
Yep.
I thought it was a pretty interesting keynote. They've clearly, they're an example of a company that grew up in meetings and now has pivoted hard to contact center. That
changed their name.
Yeah. And that was right. Actually, that's true. Yeah. And that their keynote was a lot about contact center. So what'd you think of the keynote? And I know you sell a lot of Zoom contact center, so it seems like that product's really come a long way.
Yeah. So I thought the keynote was great. I think one thing that's like, it's happening so fast that a lot of people just don't have the knowledge that Zoom is actually a premier contact center. Like they play in the enterprise. They play in the large enterprise.
Well, Smitter put up a slide that actually showed how all the different features and things like that they've added, and it's remarkable. Like, I don't know how customers keep. I don't know how you keep up. Yeah.
So like we're having strategic meetings today of just like how can we continue to keep that evolution going and because they're developing at such an incredible pace. But I think like that's what that keynote showed is like the agentic AI and the other tools that they have. Like this is a real contact center platform, and this is where the future is. And they're saying that there's a ton of opportunity within that platform. And it started at video, but there's still something to be said for video and business to communicate B2C and having the consumer nomenclature of Zoom. So there's a lot of strategies and there's a lot within that platform that really align. But I think the development is just Zoom is moving at a pace that's faster than anybody else in the industry.
Yeah, and so how'd that happen? So I understand they move fast, but I mean,
They say it's Zoom speed, and it's kind of tongue in cheek, but the reality is it is super
But to call them a late entrant is almost giving them credit because they were a really late entrant. I mean, they announced it 2 years ago. And so I get that they caught up in features, but to be accepted as a contact center vendor, almost a mainstream one so early, that to me is unheard of.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen anything like it that's moved that fast. Totally disruptive of the market. And there's a couple other players that are right there with them, like RingCentral and others that are right there competing, and they have the same products and flavors. But just from where they're at from a development perspective, what we saw in that keynote today, like that's some real cutting edge stuff. And that's what the customer's looking for. To your point, when we were first talking, is you're not seeing that experience as an end user. Within the next 6 to 12 months, that's going to be table stakes.
All right. So last question. This is an easy question to answer, but people ask me this question all the time, and I'm not sure how to answer it. So if I look at the messaging from every contact center vendor about AI, it all kind of looks the same, right? The long-term vision, more automated bots, we're talking to machines, they're solving problems for us. All tasks are being done, but we're all at a different phase in adoption. When customers ask you, like, how to evaluate these different vendors' capability, how do you do that?
Yeah, I think that's it's evolving for us right now. And so for us, like it's that evolution, like we're doing this real time. And I think it's really just starting the conversation of like, let's not talk about product specific or Gartner Magic Quadrant leaders. Like, what are the key things that we want to initiate that we can solve for in the business right now? And then start there. And I think where our conversations are starting to lead us, and again, it's the funny part is it's just been like the past 6 months that all this is just But it's kind of putting the AI conversation in front, and use the analogy of like the AI conversation should be the engine to the train and the routing and everything else behind it. So we're less product centric, but we just have to make sure that we understand like how do we capture the things that are like quick hits for within the business, the sound bites that we can get that produce those quick ROIs and start
small.
Just like everything else, like in a big complex project. You can't boil the ocean. You eat the pizza one piece.
Well, that's why actually the start small is why I like, RingCentral just announced their AI receptionist, right?
Yep.
And the reason I like that is because it does let you start small. It's pretty low risk. In fact, when they announced that, I talked to one of your guys about it, and he said, look, with people bringing people back to the office 2-3 days a week, nobody wants to commit to a full-time receptionist. So I dropped this in. If it makes a mistake here or there, you're not going to lose customers, versus if it's processing refunds or diagnosing cancer, it gets that wrong, right? That's a lot worse. And so it seems like it's a good get your feet wet with AI.
Yeah, I think that's it. And the pickup rate of like that feature, the AI operator that RingCentral deployed, like the interest of that was 10.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just really the customer is getting conceptually like past the AI buzz and understanding like, what can I actually do with it?
Yeah.
And I think that's where everybody is just kind of looking at it like, how do I do it? Like, what does it mean? What's the return? And I think that's a good example of a feature that the light bulb just goes on and says, boy, I could be way more efficient. I might be able to save some money.
Yeah.
Which is always a positive.
Yeah. All right, Joe. So takeaways here. It's all about AI. Companies are looking to save money with transformation of the contact center yet to come. Zooming. Yeah. And Ring's got some good stuff too.
Yeah. I think Ring's coming along, Zoom's coming along. I think you're starting to see like that middle market contact center, like its maturity right now. Yeah. I would imagine the Gartner Magic Quadrant's going to change a little bit with the next evolution.
Well, that was really untapped market too, because a lot of those mid-market customers didn't have a contact center because they didn't want to have to deploy a huge, Avaya system and, have it largely go unused and things like that. Right. So,
it's just, there's a middle market now that's defined, and then agentic AI and the stuff that's in there, like gives the middle market the opportunity to do the things that the large enterprises were the only ones that could afford to do it.
Yeah. All right. So agentic AI coming to a contact center near you. Yeah, I'm waiting to call one and actually get a virtual agent. So
Hopefully, we can. But
yeah. So yeah, even coming to golf. Yeah. So all right. So on behalf of Joe Rittenhouse from Converged Technology Pros, I'm Zias Caravallo from ZK Richardson. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and I'll see you next time on my next episode of ZKast. Thanks, Joe.